Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing when I will start to become very interested in altcoins and what exactly I want to see develop in the crypto market for altcoins to do very well once again. If you've been following along my channel, you've probably noticed by now that I have been making a lot less altcoin videos and content, primarily for the reason that there really isn't that much to be talking about. Over the last few months, we have seen more or less Bitcoin on this solo rally breaking out, whereas most other altcoins have been primarily flat, stagnant, not doing a whole lot, not breaking out. And that is just sort of the stage of the market that we're in right now. So I did want to discuss looking out into the future. That's not going to be the case forever. So when exactly do I start to look to altcoins and do start to get interested in them once again? And for this video, I'm going to be looking at indicators like the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, the Bitcoin dominance, and the total 3 market capitalization, which is the entire crypto asset class, but excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So using those indicators to really just describe what's been going on in the market right now, you can see that Bitcoin has broken out. It's reclaimed its highs from back here in August. It's reclaimed its highs from back here in February, and it's at $30,000, which is the highest level that Bitcoin has been since all the way back here in June of 2022, which was around 44 weeks ago. If we look at total 3, which again is going to show us the total asset class of the crypto market, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, so really just pretty much the altcoin market, you can see it is below those August highs. It is below the highs from November, below the highs from February. It has not broken out, and it's pretty much just flat here over the last few months. The same price it was from back here in late January. Again, looking here at Bitcoin, late January, Bitcoin was around $23,000, $24,000. So since then, it has actually rallied by about 27-30%. Whereas altcoins, again, you can see have just gone sideways for the most part. And that has, of course, led the Bitcoin dominance to rally over the last few months. I talked about this in my last video. And what I want to discuss here in this video is when I think the Bitcoin dominance is eventually going to start to come back down, when I think we're going to see a lot of that interest in the altcoin market start to renew, and where we could look for the market to have a good position for altcoins to do very well rally and especially outperform Bitcoin. And the short answer for this is really we just need to see Bitcoin stop rallying. We need to see Bitcoin stop moving in this vertical-like position where it's been pretty much week over week increasing at a very constant rate. And you can see that that rally has been very impressive. It's been a very aggressive rally. We've had weeks where Bitcoin has rallied by almost 26%. For example, this week in the middle of March took Bitcoin from 22 up to around 28. So these are the types of moves that Bitcoin has been making over the last few months. And this is, of course, a move that is too quick, too abrupt for the altcoin market. Altcoins are not keeping up. They're not following pace. And a lot of the interest is just specifically within Bitcoin, a little bit of interest within Ethereum, but for the most part, this has been a solo rally by Bitcoin. And this is actually something that we have seen pretty frequent throughout Bitcoin's history. If I zoom all the way out here, I just want to discuss 2 main examples of when we have seen this before, and then when exactly the altcoins started to catch up and started to do pretty well. So I'm going to be looking at the 2019 rally when Bitcoin went from 3 up to 14K in just a few months, and then also this very impressive rally during the bull run from September 2020 up to around March of 2021 on that other very impressive rally from 10 to 57K. And the reason I want to look at both of these moves is because that was when Bitcoin was again in those very impressive, very aggressive and vertical-like rallies, moving up at a pace that altcoins just could not keep up with. So for example, in the 2018-2019 beginning rally where Bitcoin rallied from 3 to 14K, if we look here at the Bitcoin dominance, just to get a good idea of what was happening with the altcoin market, you can see that all throughout that time frame, Bitcoin was rallying at pretty much the same thing, a solo rally. The Bitcoin dominance had this very impressive move from this local low at 52% up to the local high at 72%. So pretty much if we were to overlay that move, just comparing it to where we are today, comparing it to how that move from back in 2019 translates into today, you can see the Bitcoin dominance had a pretty similar trajectory. It did continue rallying for the next several weeks though. And again, what happened was during this time frame, Bitcoin went from 3 to 14K. It did a 4x in a very short period of time. Altcoins just could not keep up in that market. So of course, Bitcoin had the best returns across the board, and that made its dominance go up. And what happened after that was Bitcoin started to consolidate at this high in the 10 to 14K region. If I zoom in here, you can see for a number of months, it was just sort of going sideways, stagnant for the most part. starting in June of 2019 up until September of 2019. And if we look here at the Bitcoin dominance, that's really where the inflection point was, where it started to reverse from this local high, and then it started to come back down. It gave a little bit of altcoins some breathing room just before we had the next major surge. And that next major surge is the other rally I will be talking about, when Bitcoin dominance rallied from 57% up to this local high at 74%. That was from August of 2020 up until January of 2021. And if we go back here to Bitcoin, again, in that same time frame, that's when we had this very impressive and vertical-like move starting at 10K in September 2020 up until this local high 57K in February of 2021. Very similar time frames. You can see that move just leaving altcoins behind, Bitcoin dominance surging. And then when the Bitcoin dominance actually came back down, this was when we had the major altcoin season. This is when a lot of people were making a lot of money in altcoins. This is when they were the most interesting and by far the best opportunity in the market. And what happened with Bitcoin was really it just started to go sideways. It stopped on this major rally. It had months of consolidation and distribution at this 60K range. You can see it really wasn't doing a whole lot. Same exact pattern that we had right here in 2019. So really that's just what we need to see with Bitcoin if the altcoin market is to do well. If we want to see the altcoins catch up and do those impressive rallies, that's just what we have to see with Bitcoin. We have to see an end to this aggressive and vertical-like rally, and then potentially just moving sideways for a number of weeks, a number of months preferably. If we get something like this, similar to how we did from back here in 2021 and 2019, this is the conditions where I start to get very interested in altcoins. Until we see something like this start to develop though, I would continue to be very cautious with the altcoin market. And this does make a lot of sense really if you think about it, because Bitcoin, I would say, is arguably the least risky cryptocurrency in this entire market. It's been around the longest, you generally know what to expect, and it has the least amount of volatility. And if you can have an investment in Bitcoin that has rallied by about 100%, you really don't need to go into those riskier altcoins. You can get plenty of a return with Bitcoin, and that's what a lot of market participants are feeling right now. When we start to see this boring neutral sideways period though, that's when people start to get looking for those higher riskier plays, get more interested in the altcoins because Bitcoin isn't offering those returns. And typically what happens is people make a lot of money in Bitcoin and then they just rotate their profits into the altcoin market, and that's really what happens here, where we have the big rallies. A lot of people make a lot of money on Bitcoin in these rallies. They diversify into altcoins in these periods of times, and then that's when the altcoins do very well. And it's a pretty observable and predictable cycle, but we're just not at the point here where we have the altcoins popping off. We have a lot of the interest in the altcoins. So until we start to see this sideways period, I would remain cautious on the altcoin market, and I would just assume that Bitcoin is going to continue to have the best returns. And again, that is coming with the least amount of risk, in my opinion, that you can get within the crypto market. And then lastly, I should note that the best altcoin seasons and the periods of times when altcoins do the best are when Bitcoin is typically very bullish. And we have Bitcoin the most bullish when it goes on these bigger rallies and has a lot more people and a lot more profit. This rally in 2019, again, looking at the Bitcoin dominance, did not yield as great of an altcoin season. Altcoins did do well, but it was not every single one doing those incredible returns. This was the real altcoin season that we saw, the really impressive rally with the altcoin market. And that was, of course, a factor of Bitcoin going up 6x in just a few months in the most bullish time frame in the market. And it was at all-time highs. There was a lot of interest in the general market. So if we have Bitcoin continue to rally even more and then potentially go sideways later down the line, so for example, looking something like this, where maybe we even make it up to say 40K, this would be the scenario where you would see an even bigger altcoin season, in my opinion. Not saying this has to happen, but that is what I would look out for, again, where I'm going to be interested in the altcoin market. If Bitcoin is not doing that and it's actually coming back down to retest some of these lower valuations on an aggressive move to the downside, again, this is also not the conditions that we want to see for the altcoin market. We have to see Bitcoin at least a little bit bullish, going sideways, and in general, people looking to take on risk. I hope you guys enjoy the content and the analysis, and as always, I will see you in the next one.